Welcome back to the Paranormal Girl podcast. I am your host, Kristen. My sister recently told me about an interesting chat that she had with her teenage son. One morning before school, he pulled her aside and in a serious tone, with a serious look on his face, he told her, "I'm seeing him again." He's a teenage boy, so of course there was no further elaboration. Naturally curious what in the world he was talking about, she asked, "Who?" And he replied, "The man in my room. He sat on my bed last night. I touched him with my foot, and his skin was hard. His face looks like it's made of rocks." This was an unexpected answer. My sister asked, "You're seeing him again?" He nodded. And then he whispered, "And Mom, he doesn't have any eyes." But enough about that. How was your guys' weekend? Do anything fun? I hope it was grand. I hope it was fabulous. Today's guest also has seen a rather strange creature that he still can't quite make heads or tails of to this day. He joins us to share his story. We also get into a really cool discussion about paranormal investigation and the paranormal team that he founded out of Ontario and his paranormal talk radio program. My guest has been on the hunt for answers for a very long time. I shall bring forth our chat following this word from today's sponsor. Ladies, today we are brought to you by Santa's #1 helper, Manscaped. This holiday season, go beyond the boring gifts and stuff those stockings with something he actually needs. Introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped, the ultimate below-the-waist trimmer designed to treat his special snowflake. Gift the joy of smoothness. Slay the holidays with 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code PNG. Remember, ladies, it's a gift for him and you. Lee and I recently decorated our Christmas tree. You know what hanging up those shiny, round ornaments reminds me of? Christmas joy. A season of peace. The spirit of giving. Give someone the gift of their very own shiny, round ornaments this year with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Trimmer. Throw in a dose of Christmas magic with some crop soother aftershave lotion and some crop preserver anti-chafe deodorant. Oh, look, there's still some room under the tree. He will soon understand the reason for the season when you hand him a brand new pack of Manscaped Boxers 2.0, equipped with moisture-wicking technology and their signature jewel pouch to carry his new shiny round ornaments around with comfort and care. And he will think, boy, she really loves her some sparkling, smooth Christmas ornaments. Yes, you do, ladies. You really do. So get 20% off and free shipping with code PNG at manscaped.com. That is 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com when using code PNG. His balls will be singing, "Baby, it's cold outside." NC. Oh, Lord. Oh, you guys, be sure that you stay until the end of today's episode. I have got a very special Christmas end-of-year listener appreciation giveaway announcement to make. I am already excited for whoever wins. All right. My guest is the host and producer of the longtime running live paranormal talk radio show, Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Now in its 16th season, you can catch those weekly broadcasts on YouTube, Twitch, and the New Visions radio network. My guest also regularly investigates the vast unknown and is the mind behind the Southern Ontario Paranormal Society, which has been researching, investigating, and documenting the mysterious since 1996. Please enjoy my conversation with Steve Genier.
Steve Genier. Um, I've been investigating and researching the paranormal of God since I can remember. I think, 96, I guess, was when I, professionally, if you want expertise, I don't know, whatever, however, is there really any, I don't know, experts? Not really, but I'm still learning. I'm still in school, if you will. Um, because I had some experiences when I was younger, and a good friend of mine passed away fairly young, and I just wanted to sort of explore and say, hey, look at this, is there's something really going on, and I wanted to know what it was, and I wanted to be realistic about it.
Mm-hmm.
I am, sure you hear about all the ghost stories and all the legends and myths and the haunted tales and so on and so on, but I felt that there was a sense of realism, more to it than just the stories. I think what it was probably more than human, the human aspect of the paranormal. We all like to think that the afterworld and dead loved ones and disembodied souls, and I felt there was more to it than that. And again, with a film background, and I wanted to sort of incorporate it all and to document, and present it. And I mean, I just felt that there needed to be a more realistic sort of approach than, I mean, when I started, there was TV shows, but not like there is today. My view was always a grassroots, going out, getting your hands dirty, and using the chalk, using the chalk when you're, look at, I want to like see if something disturbs that chalk line.
Mm-hmm.
Never really
Mm-hmm.
happened, but I mean, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Put
Mm-hmm.
trigger item on a gravestone and see if it moves, or whatever. Just small little things to experiment and research with. I mean, that was me. That's and document it, right? Always document. I felt that if I didn't document it, I was missing things, and I didn't want to do that. So, but
Right.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's where that began. And eventually, obviously, forming Southern Ontario Paranormal Society, like-minded people who go out there, and most people will say look for ghosts. No, it's nothing of the sort. It's never about looking for ghosts. It's looking to find, if anything, things that we can't explain.
Right.
Things that we can't explain. First, go in there and explain what you can explain, and then that little bit left over, that's what you want to zero in on, and that's what we do, and that's what we did. And I like to think we've been kind of successful. I mean, we've had some success in finding some very unique sort of aspects that I will never say evidence, because I mean, we really don't know. Um, Science may explain it one day, and that's the thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
outside our current understanding, our current scope of understanding through science. So I mean, science is always growing too. So I mean, hey, um,
It's funny that you mentioned that though, because as an outsider, and I have seen and heard some of your guys' pieces of evidence. I would call it
mm,
evidence. It's evidence of
mm,
something.
mhm,
Both you and Alex seem a bit unassuming about its how profound these pieces of evidence are. Like, sincerely, some of the things you've shown me, for instance, the ball
mhm,
capture,
mhm,
blew my mind. Creepy. I don't know how to explain it. I could watch it over and over and over again. And listeners, it's one of the recent clips, I believe, on the Facebook page, and I'll link it below for them to check it
mhm,
out. But totally incredible evidence. And it's I on one hand, I really do appreciate a level of skepticism to
mhm.
this. Um, but at the same time, like, you guys are just so unassuming about it. It's like, well, yeah, we caught this very unexplainable piece of evidence, but yeah, I don't know.
It's changed. I mean, again, like a lot of things, you mature when
Mhm.
you've been researching and investigating the paranormal, for as amount of time as I have been now. I'll tell you, I'll be honest. When we first discovered that piece of evidence, if you will, I was like, wow, I was
Yeah.
blown away. I mean, like how it just doesn't make any sense. There was nobody there, nothing there. Um, and the location where it was taken was, I think it was August. It was early August. I think it was like 104 Fahrenheit.
Ooh.
Stagnant. It was like an
Yeah.
oven in that place. It was just brutal. And so, I mean, scientifically, there just wasn't anything that could explain the reason why that ball was moving. I mean, the floor was level. We tested everything. The floor
Hmm.
was level. To top it off, we put that ball on a quarter. It sat on a quarter, and then we
Yeah.
put a little chalk circle. I mean, you can't see that stuff in the video, obviously, but there was a chalk circle there around the quarter. So if the ball moved, it would kind of scuffle the chalk circle a little bit. Um, and we had a couple, or sorry, one camera trained on it in that room, and but we go back and check up on it to make sure if the ball had moved or whatever. Nothing, just
Hmm.
nothing. And then we packed up. We made our way home, and then we sat up for another, God, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours going through video footage. And then all of a sudden, wow, okay, wait a sec here. This does not make sense. And, just like poking through it, every bit of it, frame by frame by frame. And I came up, I'm like, okay, wait a sec. We have to sync this up. There has to be something else going on here other than the ball moving.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the timeline, and then I'm looking at the timeline with all their audio. We had taken audio in a room just next door to where the ball was, and I'm shifting through all this audio, and then all of a sudden, bang! We have audio of what sounds like a little boy answering a question about a ball.
Ah,
And it's just like, this is incredible.
yeah.
This is just so incredible. And but over time, it's not that I've become more skeptical about it. I've always been skeptical. You have to be skeptical. You have to have that sense of healthy skepticism, and you have to have a thick skin when you present people this kind of stuff, because people will pick it apart, and rightfully so, because when you're making these claims, people will just jump all over you.
Hmm.
And if you can't handle that, you shouldn't be doing this. Honestly, I've had some pretty vicious attacks in my lifetime here doing this, but you know what? That's fine. I understand. But you know what? Scrutinize it. Please do
Yeah.
so. I really do. I welcome all scrutiny
Hmm.
with this kind of stuff. So I mean, I guess it's not so much that it doesn't excite me like it used to. I think I'm a little bit more hardened. now because of all that,
Okay.
over
Okay.
the years. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I do get excited when I get some new stuff. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
actually, I'll show you after we're done recording if you have some time to hang around. But actually, I loaded up a couple of EVPs that we captured at a
sure.
recent lockdown, I guess you could say, a real old building. And I was very excited when I found them at first, and then the more I listened to them, the more I listened to them, I did feel myself getting more and more skeptical. Like, no, it
Mhm,
has to be explained some other way. It has to be it's too good. It's too clear.
mm,
It's got to be something else. So, like I said, I do appreciate that skeptical take, and I do agree with you. Like you have to be uh, skeptical even of your own evidence and welcome the scrutiny, so that then at the end of it all, if you really got something unexplainable, it's just that much more,
mhm.
just
And
profound.
I mean, if you're thinking it, think it, because I'll tell you right now, somebody else is going to be thinking about it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
even if you don't, somebody's going to approach you about that, and it's sometimes throw you for a living, going, "Oh, wait a sec, oh, I didn't even think about that." Because there's always something. This is what I mean about always, like, always learning.
Yeah.
Always. I'm not an expert. I never will claim to be. I mean, I just don't think there are experts. I don't, maybe people who might be a little professional about
Hmm.
how they do things. That's fine. But honestly, how can you be an expert in a field that we really know little about,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's why we're doing this.
mhm,
Um, well, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about. I do want to get to a story that
mhm,
I wanted you to come on today to tell us.
mhm,
Very strange indeed. But before we do that, I really wanted to introduce my audience, if they have not had the pleasure yet of listening to your radio program, Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Can you give us just a little history on that show, like the origins, how you met up with Alex?
mhm.
Just introduce us all to it.
Well, again, we had a chat beforehand about a show that I used to listen to.
Mhm.
I had made friends in the paranormal community, and through working in film and doing a little bit of radio and stuff like that, I started uh, co-producing a radio show called the Laura Moon Show, which eventually went on to be called Full Moon Radio. Sadly, Laura's no longer with us, but um, I was helping her out with guests people I knew, both in film and in the paranormal, and bringing them on and arranging that and helping her out with some creativity and all that. And I said to myself, wow, I love doing this. Why don't I just do my own show? You know, so I explored that a little bit, and I was going to do just maybe something kind of like another show that we talked about, Ghostly Talk.
Mhm.
Go out on an investigation, come on and talk about it and share your experience with people. But then I go, I don't know. I don't know if I want to copy that. So I just want to talk about the paranormal as a whole.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I looked at the routes I could take. And in the beginning, it was myself and a person, well, my co host was a girl named Kate in the beginning, who was there for the first 2 or 3 episodes. And then unfortunately, she was unable to do it any longer. But I just went out on my own. I just, hey, this is cool. And then after about a year of doing the show by myself, I think it was what, 2009, something like that. Yeah, 2009. Alex Rondini, who had been calling into the show, um, and asking questions, and at the time he had been running an easing called Phantom Easy, who he was writing about the paranormal. So I said, yeah, him and I met at a what was called the Gathering here in in Toronto, and we just hit it off. We were just like, hey, man, this is, and we kind of knew each other, obviously, from him calling into the show and all that. But we talked and we talked. I said, hey, man, how would you like to come on and co-host with me on Nocturnal Frequency Radio? He's like, yeah, that'd be cool. And yeah, it's been yeah, it's been fun ever since. Like I said, since about 2009, I believe he came on for the first time, and we've been doing it together since then.
Yeah, well, your guys' energies are just so great. You mesh well. Good choice. Well, yeah, you guys. So you your network is New Visions Radio.
Mhm.
You guys stream it on YouTube and Twitch, I believe.
Twitch,
I'm
yeah.
just kind of
Mhm,
throwing out places people can
mhm.
catch it. You guys are in your 16th season.
Yep,
That's
16,
crazy. It's crazy
16.
cool, but yeah, been at it for a
Yeah.
while. And throughout the years, you guys have had some really notable guests on
Oh
the
yeah,
show.
yeah,
Yeah, what
yeah.
what what were some of your most just memorable? Like you think back, you're like, yeah, that was cool.
Wow, I mean, people that you never thought you'd ever have on the show.
Mhm.
Stanton Freeman
Wow.
was probably one that was wow. We were both in awe that he agreed to come on the show at the time. And just having a chat with him about all the various things about Roswell and all that kind of stuff is like, this is the guy. This is the guy
Mhm.
that broke it. Like, wow, he's on our show. But he was very professional and super nice guy. And I wish we had him on again, but unfortunately, he passed away. But great, probably one of my fondest memories.
Yeah.
Um, there's just so many. There's just so many people that we've had on throughout the years. I want to probably give out a special shout out to somebody who really affected both myself and Alex. Became a really good friend of the show, and she had no longer with us, but that's writer Chris Hawley.
Mm.
She was phenomenal. She was on the show so many times in the early years, and she brought so much, and we learned so much from her. And she really, I guess, kind of really helped us define the show.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can't. I would like to say, obviously, that was an integral part of our history, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's incredible. I truly just have enjoyed every guest that you always learn so much.
Mm.
And I don't know how you guys do that though. You're streaming for like 2 hours every time you're up there. I wouldn't have it in me.
Yeah, I mean, it was worse before. I mean, we started
Oh.
we in the beginning for the first, God, I don't know, jeez, first 10 years, first 12 years of the show, I think, yeah, we about 12 years. For the first 12 years, we were broadcasting. We'd start at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and go till
Oof.
1 a.m. in the morning.
Whew.
Yeah, but let me tell you, I'm sure I'll get them out of the archives, but we had some pretty interesting calls. Paranormal in the middle of the night, you're gonna
Yeah.
get some really wild calls.
Oh yeah. Art Bell up in this place.
Oh, we
Um,
had we had our version of JC call the show as well. Oh my God, did we ever?
it's
Mm,
fun though. It's fun, and you get to
it
know
is.
those characters.
Mhm.
Well, just one more question on that, and then I really want to get to your story here.
Yep.
This isn't this isn't the only thing that you and Alex do together. SOPs. You guys also investigate together, but you guys are working on a documentary.
Yeah, yeah, Alex is like I guess he's like an honorable member of SOPs. He's like,
I just say
Alex,
that
do you
because
want?
I was
Yeah,
watching the Tremaine footage
yeah.
and I was like, oh, I know that
Alex,
voice.
Alex, do you want to come out? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. He's kind of like he's a fixture with Sops. He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've been working on a documentary called The Dark Woodlot.
Mhm.
And it's been quite the ride because I mean it's a unique little place that has a pack. It's packed full of interesting aspects, but it's just to get what we need. It's been yeah, it's been trying. We're getting
Oh,
there though, almost done.
okay. Well, when can we expect to watch it?
I'm hoping I'm hoping probably, I was hoping to have it out October 31st. We were going to premiere it, but unfortunately needed more footage. I'm looking probably mid next year.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Fab.
hoping.
Awesome. Well, keep my fingers crossed for you, and I will look
Yeah.
forward to it. Can't wait to watch. Been hearing all about it. On that, let's shift gears here a little bit.
Hmm.
So you mentioned you had some prior, prior to getting into investigating, prior to the show, you had some personal experiences. Um, you told me a really strange story one time when I
Hmm.
was on your show,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure exactly how I would classify this thing,
Hmm.
but I might call it a strange cryptid of sorts.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you tell my audience that story?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was working night shift. This is back in 2003, something like that. I don't know. I was working night shift, and I left work. And I was walking home, and I was walking down this road and approaching a bridge, and the bridge was split into two, a separate bridge for each direction, and a grassy knoll, of course, when it made its way to the bank, sort of the hillside. And as I'm walking, approaching this to this, up to this bridge, I noticed on the other side what looked like maybe um, coyote or something like that, a dog or whatever, um, crossing the road, and then making its way to the grassy knoll where a tree stood in the middle. And it stopped, and me, I stopped. Observing, keeping an eye on this thing. Okay, what is it? It's coyote. I'm just going to take my time and let him take off, so to speak. And all of a sudden, this thing stood up on its hind legs, and I just I just had a scratching my head moment, going, okay, that's odd. Okay, it's just going to drop back down and take off. We must have had a standoff for about a good 8 to 10 minutes before this thing decided to drop down and then walk to my side of the road and then back down underneath the bridge. And
Mhm.
at the time, when this thing was standing on its hind legs, I'm looking at this thing going, what the hell is this? Okay, and I had all these animals that are in this area or in that area at the time.
Mhm.
Uh Mangy, maybe a sick bear. There's no bear in this area, none, not like that. And yeah, sure, canines can do that, but not for that long.
Right.
They're up and then they're down within a couple, not even a minute. And the head was very small, just and I just couldn't make any sense, heads or tails of this thing. This is not right. And I'd probably say roughly about 5 feet in height when it was standing.
When fully standing. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I went up to the tree after the fact to look, kind of reference the height, uh, judging by the tree that was in the back behind this creature, and couldn't figure it out. So anyways, I obviously I just I put it in the back of my mind for a few years, and then I started doing the radio show, and I started talking with Chris Hawley, and she had been writing for UFO Digest at the time, and she says, because I kind of mentioned the story on a show she was on, and she said, "Can we talk after the show? I want to get this story." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So I called her up after the show, and she was asking me all about the logistics and the details and all this kind of stuff, and I gave it to her, and it uh, it uh, it um, it was published on UFO Digest, and I think probably a few days later, I get a call from Chris, and she's like, "I'm getting all these emails and calls about people who have kind of had the same experience. What, in the same area?" She's like, "Well, yeah, one guy lived in that very same area." I'm like, "Wow, okay." And this is probably about 10 years later.
Uh-huh.
So, but when I was doing my research, um, when I started really getting serious about trying to figure out what this thing was, I stumbled upon this old article in one of the main local newspapers out of Toronto, 1978, I believe it was. They ran a story called "The Toronto Tunnel Creature," and on the cover was this artist rendition of what the creature looked like,
Mhm.
judging by based on the witnesses' testimony. And I'm like looking at this and going, "Wow, that looks exactly what I had seen." And minus the red eyes. I didn't see any red eyes. And I'm just assuming the red eyes are simply because of light reflecting off the eyes and whatever.
Sure, sure. That detail finds its way into a lot of
Yeah,
cryptid
yeah,
stories, yeah.
yeah. No, no red eyes, no red eyes. But I mean the actual image of this. I'm like that's exactly to a T what I witnessed, and I
Mhm.
just, oh wow, that's crazy. And then
How
sorry, go ahead.
how old, was were the articles that you were the article that you found? Sorry. Like, how
19,
far back did that
that was well, you figure this was 2000, roughly 2000, so it was so about 25 years later.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
almost 25 years later, yeah.
Wow. Wow, so it's
Yeah.
got historical precedence.
Mhm.
People were describing this same creature 25 years prior to what not just you, but multiple people, and this was 10 years after the fact that you had even told your story and described it. All these other
Yeah.
people describing the same thing.
I mean, location was different, but the thing is, okay, I started thinking, okay, the possibility that this could be using the tunnel system as
Mm,
a highway or a means of getting around, because these drainage systems and sewer systems and tunnel systems, they connect all over the place,
right,
and
right.
you never know. Like I'd have to get a governmental sort of, and there's a lot of things they're not going to give you. They don't want you knowing that kind of information in fear of what you might do with it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Well, and
So,
the span of time too says
mhm,
to me, breeding population. Because if you are talking
mm,
something that's canine-ish,
mhm,
something in nature,
mhm.
that's not living very long. I am no expert on cryptids or how long cryptids live,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
what I have learned looking at Bigfoot is that it would be theorized that they would live along the same life span as
yeah,
a primate, the
mhm,
larger apes. They can live up to 30 years, so somewhere around there.
mhm.
A canine cryptid of sorts is not going to be long lasting. So we're talking like in the 70s up to the 2000s, maybe 10 years later. That says to
Yep.
me there's Yeah, maybe more than one of these things, critters crawling around the tunnel systems and sewers. Um,
I mean, I had people like Linda Godfrey, who is well known for her writings on the Michigan Dog Man.
yeah.
You
Hmm.
know, that sort of thing. Even comment saying that that kind of reminded her of a lot of cases that she had written about there in Michigan.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, is it something that is easy to explain? Sure. Um, was it a sick animal? It could possibly have been, but it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It didn't compute what I
Mm.
witnessed. And like I said, I've talked to many people, like hunters, people who work in zoos, vets, all sorts of people, and they just they shake their head and go, you know, um, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I was not, on anything. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't. I was at work. I was going home. I had finished, and that was it. I might have been a little tired, but not that tired. So
Yeah. Well,
you know,
and the detail that you said there, I don't recall you telling me that before. I'm sure you did, but it was just
mm,
standing there for a good 8 to 10 minutes.
at
That
least,
detail in itself is
yep,
incredible. Yeah.
exactly.
So
Hmm.
whatever this thing was, and then after an 8 to 10 minute standoff, it didn't run at you. It didn't attack you. It wasn't like assessing, okay, now I'm going to get this guy. It went down and went on its way.
Yeah, I mean, it was just yeah, standoff. We were
Mhm.
just observing each other, Okay, who's gonna make the next move? Both. Okay, if I start walking, is this thing gonna come down or run on the other side, go back to
Yeah.
where it came from? I said, I'm not taking that chance because I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
stood there and I let him make the first move or it or whatever. you know, so
Well, thank you for
mhm,
telling us the story. And,
mhm.
gosh, I sure hope you get some kind of answer at some point.
Yeah. It's an
Even just
on
go ahead.
it's yeah, it's an ongoing, yeah, it's an ongoing thing. I don't know, maybe one of these days.
Hmm. What
Uh,
does your cohort think about that?
well, I mean, we did a little side thing with the show. Well, we have been called Nocturnal Night Shots.
Mhm.
And the very first episode that we did, we went and visited the area where I had the experience, and I kind of laid out what had happened, and you know, uh, got his thoughts about it. He's just like, wow, that's just insane. Like I mean, that's just not normal. Of course, it's not
Mhm.
normal.
Mhm.
Um, to get it sort of a fresh read, and a few years later, I think it was like 7 years later after it had happened, and trying to get a fresh sort of take on what might happen. But yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. It's just one of those unexplainables. I don't know.
Shapeshifter? Who
Shape
knows?
shifting. I mean, yeah.
Wendigo? Wendigo?
Once you start going down that road, you got a lot
No.
of options. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's something kind of cool about the mystery of it too. So maybe it'll just stay there for now. Just the mystery.
Yeah.
Or you just created a whole, you're gonna bring a brand new cryptid mainstream,
Well,
like the
I like
Sesame
the things that
Street.
well, I coined it the Credit River Creature.
Credit River Creature.
The
Ooh,
Credit River Creature.
you know what? You should write the book. You've already done the research.
I've already started.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
That's okay. Uh,
Cat's out of the bag. Coyote Man is out of the bag.
yeah, out of the bag.
Oh man. Well, thank you again so much. We are getting close to the final segment here. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and, well, did you have anything else that you wanted to share, since we've got, you've got the stage here? Any other just strangeness, anything coming up for Nocturnal Frequency Radio that you want to share? This would be a good spot to do so.
Well, season 16 is unfolding still. I mean, we haven't reached the halfway part. Um, but we're looking to, I think this year coming, having a gathering for the people who
Ooh.
listen and might be a part of it in some way or another, and sort of a, we were going to do it last year, but unfortunately things just got too busy and we weren't able to do it. But yeah, we're looking to have that, and get to know people a little better, and say thank you to everyone who's supported the show over the years. So
Hmm.
hope look out for that. And yeah, I mean, guests are always our priority, and we've got an interesting lineup in the on the bench, if you will, that we're going to announce soon, hopefully. So
Ooh, waiting in the
yeah,
wings.
yep, waiting in the
Mhm.
wings.
Very nice. Well, I very much look forward to it. All right, Steve, it is time for final questions,
Hmm.
final thoughts. Um, you already answered one, dang it. You're so intuitive. I'll ask one on the fly. But first question I've got for you.
Hmm.
My hop fans out there are going to love this one. Steve, you are
Yep,
a bit of a beer connoisseur.
I love my craft beer.
Well, since that is the case, would you recommend to us your top three go tos?
Wow. Oh man. uh oh, there's just so many, and I don't know. Go to. I always find myself, no matter what, going back to whatever how things change. I always go back to the Alchemist, Hetty Topper's The Alchemist. I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think
Hmm.
it's one of the originators of the hazy New England style East Coast IPA. I just you can never go wrong with it.
Hmm.
It's probably one of my top three for sure. Um, oh God, there's so many. There just really is. It's
I
just
know
fast.
that
It
that
it's
wasn't a
fascinating
fair
how,
question to ask you.
yeah, it's just fascinating how it's changed over the years. Like in the past 5 to 10 years, it's just
Hmm.
like, wow, it's so different than it was, when I sort of, I've been, I guess, experimenting with craft beer for years, but
Hmm.
um especially with American craft beer, because here it was a little bit more liberal, and it was kind of hard. They were kind of staying safe with, going with the go-to that people, the English pale ales, and the lagers, and stuff that they knew people would enjoy, and all that and keep coming back for, and afraid to sort of venture out and try new stuff. And I found that when things started to explode in the US, so did I, I guess, really. I mean, Pliny, for instance. There's another one,
Oh, yeah,
Pliny.
love
There's
Pliny.
another. I wish I was on the West Coast a little bit more. I absolutely
Hmm.
love Pliny. Pliny. I was lucky enough to visit Russian River and get some fresh Pliny. And man, I'm telling you, what an experience that was.
Man, yeah, Pliny. I only could get it when we were in California.
Mhm.
And stupid me, I didn't stock up because it's by far, like, I remember this beer, and
Mhm.
it's been, like, 5 years since I've had
Mm.
it. Yeah, just excellent, excellent beer. Yeah, and so I was so sad when we moved to Louisiana and I realized, "Oh, I can't even get it. I can't get it here. Yeah, very sad. And of course, it's not up here where we're at in Washington either. So, yeah, I miss it. I'll
Well,
have to make a special trip down.
you got lots of good stuff out there. I mean, like, even when you were down in Louisiana, you had Parish. Parish, there's
Sure.
another Parish has some really good stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
they do.
I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been all over, especially the US when it comes to craft beer. Oh God. Yeah. And that and the paranormal.
And then
Uh,
yeah, yeah, I heard you telling a funny story about crossing the border one time to come down to to investigate, and,
yes.
the fella at the border was,
Oh yeah.
thought it was rather interesting.
Yeah, he's I've got a few, but I mean that one in particular, we were going over to a place in Buffalo, New York,
Mhm.
a small little museum called Iron Island Museum, and we were crossing over, and of course they ask you, where are you going to? Iron Island. Um, he goes, "That's in Lovejoy, right?" I go, "Yeah, yeah. What are you doing there?" Ghost hunting. I said ghost hunting on purpose because I knew he would it was bait. And sure enough, he double takes and he's like, "Ghost hunting." And then he starts going on about all the shows, and yeah, I love this and I love that. And then
Mhm.
he's like, "My dad lives in Lovejoy. I never knew that place was haunted," and just it was okay. Yeah, have fun. See you later. You know?
Go on through, you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. I've got a
Aw.
few that will just make you go, yeah,
Y
hilarious.
Yeah, well, I'm curious, do you still get that reaction these days? You feel like it's such an overflooded, market or community, I guess, but do you still get kinda like, "Huh," kinda reactions?
Yeah, all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
when people find out that I investigate the paranormal, they're very intrigued, and want to know if it's like TV. Is it true with it, and all that kind of stuff. And when they find out that I host a radio show that deals with the paranormal, primarily the paranormal, they're really intrigued. Yeah, I get it all the time. I still do, and
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hmm.
We went off the rails here in these, the final segment. All right. Next question I got prepared for you. What is that one experience, piece of evidence, or story that you have been told that haunts you to this day? What do you think
Wow.
back on?
I think about there's a place called the Blue Ghost Tunnel, and this is by a place called the Welland Canal. It's like the Panama Canal, but for the Great Lakes. It's called the Welland Canal, and in the early days, um, they were trying to figure out the proper channels, if you will. So they were constantly building these canals to better serve the area. And by this tunnel, uh, there was a grave, like a cemetery. And years ago, they were going to they had to move the people in that cemetery to higher ground, because what they were going to do is they were going to flood the area to make a reservoir.
Mhm,
And you're telling people, you're going to have to move your dead loved ones, and back then a lot of them just didn't have the money, or they weren't able to make contact, they didn't know how to make contact or who, whatever. And what ended up happening was they flooded the area, and there were still um uh coffins, grave like resting spots left. And to this day, you can go there, and when they lower the reservoir, you can see the tombstones popping out,
Oh,
and I sit there and I think to myself, wow, like, who would ever think that this would ultimately happen to what's supposed to be your final resting spot?
right.
So I don't know. It's that in itself has always kind of haunted me. Oh, well, I better pick a good
Yeah.
spot, you know. But yeah, but anything it shows you anything can happen. But yeah, it just brings chill, like going there
Mhm.
and investigating and researching it. It's just very haunting, very atmospherically haunting. You constantly, no matter what, you could it could be you could have visited this location hundreds of times, you still get those chills.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
very chilling.
I
Yeah.
had no idea such a place existed. That is
Mhm.
quite a chilly, story or,
Mhm.
just information to leave us with. My
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Okay. Whew. Alright, well, final question for you, and then,
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap it up. So,
Mhm.
this one is on the fly. I guess I'm just curious, just for you personally, like we talked about investigating and the level of evidence that you've captured and kind of how you've progressed throughout, not growing more cynical, but more, just skeptical of it because you have to
Mm,
be. And that is awesome and that is a must. But I'm just
mhm.
curious for you personally, what is it going to take to be fully 100% on board? Yes, this is real. Yes, like what is it gonna take? Is it gonna take like scientific acceptance? Is it gonna take a certain piece of evidence and just the right time and just the right thing is said? Like where's that line that you draw?
Well, I mean, like, it's hard. It's because science, I keep saying to myself again, is man-made, it's fallible,
Mhm.
and it's not the end all be all. And yeah, science can explain quite a lot. There's lots of stuff out there that you have a situation that arises, and you're like, oh my god, this is incredible. And then all of a sudden somebody comes out of nowhere and says, oh no, this is what that is,
Mhm.
right? And you're like, oh wow, yeah, I guess you're kind of right. I guess it depends on what type of evidence it is. It depends on the circumstances. I don't get me wrong. I wholeheartedly believe there's something going on. I really do believe it. I've had things happen to me that I to this day I can't explain,
Yeah.
and I have some evidence that begs to scream and says, "Look it, I'm proof in the pudding."
Mhm.
But publishing it and saying, "Well, look, I got proof of the paranormal," I just don't feel comfortable doing that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you know what? I'm on board for anything. I really am, Kristen. I really am. I because I've been I don't want to say inundated, but I've had so many people contact me with emails and messages and all sorts of things. Can you explain this to me? Look at I captured this on my camera. I captured this, and I hate to say to people and say, look it, this is what that is.
Yeah.
And I don't like being like that, but it just I don't want to come off and say, look it, yeah, yeah, you really do have proof there.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to be genuine in my answer, and what I think it is, because that's what they're asking. And I have to say, like, even I'm still learning, obviously. 99% of what things present themselves as being paranormal aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that's what makes it so beautiful, that 1% is a reality. And that's what really excites me. That 1%, that you can do whatever you want to explain it, but you just can't. And
Yeah.
it's there. It's there. I've had it happen to me several times, and I think that's what everybody needs to center on. And unfortunately, it's kind of hard because of you know, the excess amount of media and TV coverage, and I think people have a hard time deciphering the difference between entertainment and realism.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and that I think that's what's hindering a lot of what's going on now. And I think maybe that, because I've worked on both sides. I've worked in television, and I've been on TV shows, and I know what reality TV is all about. And I guess that kind of hampers the way I look at things too. But don't get me wrong, I do believe a lot of stuff is going on. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
Absolutely.
that's a good point. Like a personal experience, having something happen directly to you,
Hmm.
that can be all it takes, and
Hmm.
then you're kind of off on this whole lifetime quest to,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
what was that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. All of that was well said. Where, Steve, would you like to send my listeners to follow you, to listen to the show, anywhere online?
Well, if you want to watch the show, you can go to YouTube, Nocturnal Frequency Radio. You can find, if you want to listen to it, audio on Tuned In. It's on Tuned In, along with the New Visions Radio Network, newvisionsradio.com. And you can find me on Facebook, Steve Genier, Genier. Easy. And
Genier.
Southern Ontario Paranormal. We did have a website. It's under construction, but you can find us on Facebook as well. Southern Ontario Paranormal Society.
So many places to find you. I
Mm,
love it.
mhm.
All right. All right, sir. And to wrap today's show, would you like to leave us with any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or a piece of advice?
Don't give up. Keep searching. Keep looking for the unique, the unusual, the mysterious, because it's there. No matter what you think, it, you may have thought it's disappeared. It's not. It's there. It's hiding. Find it.
Steve Genier, host of Nocturnal Frequency Radio, the mind behind Southern Ontario Paranormal Society. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Steve for appearing on the show today. Ladies and gents, add Nocturnal Frequency Radio to your Sunday evening must-dos. It's a fantastic show, tons of great guests, great information, and just a really cool community that they've got going over there. So I do hope to see you guys in the chat on their next broadcast. Learn more about my guest at the links that I've provided below, and definitely check out the link to the evidence that Steve and his team captured of the ball. Trust, dudes, it's pretty interesting. If you enjoyed today's guest, rate the show 5 stars or give the episode a thumbs up. Yes, depending on wherever you are catching it. Be sure you are following the show on any of the socials and subbing to the channel on YouTube at Paranorm Girl Pod. It's pretty important that you do so when a giveaway of this magnitude is at stake. What do you mean, Kristen? What is this magnitude? What giveaway? How do I submit to win whatever it is? Well, I am so glad you asked. As you well know by now, because I've been shouting it from the rooftops, Manscaped recently released their Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, and because they are super cool, they sent me an extra one of these bad boys to give away to my precious listeners. Here is how to win. Number 1, you gotta sub or already be subbed to the Paranorm Girl channel on YouTube. Number 2, you're going to comment under a Season 6 guest episode of your choosing, either something very specific that you learned from my guest or thoroughly enjoyed about them being on the show. And lastly, you got to message me via social or email and say, "Did it," or "It is done," or "Ramvahu kaha kahoo," or whatever you want. I don't know. I don't care. I just need you to message me either on social or email. That will help me track entries and will also be how I will get a ship-to address should it be winner chicken dinner for you. Woohoo! All right. Easy enough. Be subbed on YouTube. Comment under a Season 6 guest episode. Message me privately. That's it. The clock starts now and ends on December 24th at midnight. Now, why am I giving you so much time to win this giveaway? Because you have more than one chance to win. Each Season 6 guest episode that you comment something learned or something fabulous, that right there is another entry, folks. Again, that's an additional entry per guest episode, you guys. Go out and beat the odds. And listen, ladies who tune into this show, I personally love using this trimmer. I love it. It doesn't have to be just for the fellas. Know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's start a friendly little end-of-year competition here, listeners. All right. Get out there. Get listening. Get watching. Get commenting. And spreading some paranormal end-of-year holiday feel-good cheer. And tune in next week for a cheat code that'll get you more entries. May the hairiest person win. That is a wrap for us today. I will catch you guys back here Tuesday. Until then, stay safe, keep the nightlight on, and sleep with one eye open.